Hello and welcome back to the Awakening Philosophy Podcast. My name is Jed, and we are in the book that bangs the hardest and the most, Socrates and Jesus, a Dialogue in Heaven. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I hope you're having a good time. Now, we have been building a hypothesis to explain what in the heck this new category of man could be. And we've been doing a bunch of work to get a word to define it, because we had to give birth to a new word within the list of words used for understanding, perception, and experience. The model of understanding, the model of reality. We have been building a map of the terms used, the Lego pieces that you use for thinking, for understanding. And in that, we have a bunch of paired terms, whole and part, same and different, everything that you think, everything that you experience. Understanding uses whole and part, same and different. We've got a bunch of single terms or monads that characterize what we seek, that we use to understand what we seek, what we use understanding for. We want beautiful things, we want just things, we want good things, we want our excellence. Now, all of these are ultimate terms. Well, I gave it away. All of these are the highest terms that we have. No, actually the greatest terms. Maybe how about that? These are the highest use of language that we have, but it's also the building blocks or principles of language. So that idea of excellence and causal principles come together. In other words, as you revert on your cause or the model, the more you perfect your own activity within that system. The more that you reflect on Rodney Mullen or Tony Hawk, the better the skateboarder you become. The more that you reflect on Lionel Messi, the more you become like Lionel Messi, the better the footballer you become. Now, obviously, these are analogies because the principle or the model isn't an example. It's not an adjective. It's a noun. So those people would be examples of personification of a model, let's say. So within that, we've got a bunch of pairs and a bunch of monads, but also a triad set that refers to, well, as the pairs refer to understanding, bringing things into a oneness, whole and part. These are things that we use for thinking. That's same, that's different, same and different. This is what we use for thinking. But also we direct that thinking. So still an object, a unit of thought, but what we use those for is to reach those monads. We use it because we want our goodness, we want our benefit, we want to achieve excellence. So there's the pairs, the ones, our understanding, our desire for what we want for ourselves. But as we outwardly move, so those are the three principal forces of the soul. We reason, we want our goodness for ourselves inwardly, and outwardly we move to achieve that. We want to make sure that what we reach for, well, we have to recognize a one to understand that this is a seal. That I spilled coffee on a few days ago. I did a big spill, and now it's a bit. I cleaned him, so he smells like soap. You have to recognize a one to be able to understand and identify and perceive this as a seal. You have to decide it would be good to reach out and grab the seal, but then in your outward moving, so beneficial to do so, but then outwardly you seek truth. So the category of self-er terms or units of understanding, or self-logos, self-ers or self-logos terms that refer to the aspect or the force within our soul that moves outwardly, we call truth. We want the truth of the goodness. We don't want to be scammed. We don't want to be lied to by politicians or grifters or capitalists or any of that bullshit. We don't want to fake AI version. I'm a real streamer. I'm not AI.
Oh boy, that is a little weird.
Okay, I didn't get that.
Weird business, because it's like, you know, a bunch of stupid little robots trying to spam everybody to sell crap.
Exactly. We don't want to be tricked by stupid robots to spam everything to sell crap. To that we say,
She's like a cold-hearted bitch.
we want the truth of the thing that we outwardly seek, and it requires courage to do that. So you could even attach a kind of virtue to each of those three forces within our soul or psyche. Now, in fact, the unity of those three forces is a handy definition for what the soul is. Whether or not it has an eternal existence, or it's the highest reality, we can still use it to define the unity of those forces that exist within us. So we seek truth. So if you do attach a virtue to each of those aspects of the soul, you might say, as you seek truth, you have to let go of your old images or beliefs or models of yourself. And those were kinds of solutions to how you dealt with life up until now. And it can be scary to let those go in service of truth. When you find out your image of yourself and your way of being is false and harmful, it takes courage to let it go and allow yourself to be empty or free or open, to be yourself. Courage to follow truth even when your beliefs are telling you or making you feel like the opposite is true. Courage. So, truth would be the greater term. False would be the lesser term, or the distortion of truth, the appearance of truth. There's our scammers, there are our liars, there are our grifters. The distorted reflection of the greater, the lesser. But also for there to be an idea of truth, thumbs up, such that we can say that the statement, the greater statement is the statement of truth, and the lesser statement is the false statement. There needs to be an even higher principle to allow us to apply lesser and greater to. And that's the word we've been coming up with. The pairs of understanding that bring our understanding, thought, and perception into a oneness. The ones or monads that we seek with our desire that brings about or defines our goodness. There is the lesser version of those monads: injustice, ugliness, badness, harm, fake excellence, the fake model of excellence. There is the greater, ultimate justice, the model of beauty, goodness and benefit, highest excellence. But also, in the category of truth that we're outwardly seeking, there's a third term, ultimate. For there to be a lesser and greater, there has to be an ultimate, which is reflected into those lesser and greater terms, giving us a mean analogy. Diotimos to Socrates is to us. And that's what we've been working on. What is the word for this? Because while participating in analogy, which is needed to unfold in creation, analogy is what we use for thinking and creation. Your copy has an analogous, is like your model. We've been wondering, hang on a second, there's greater and lesser, but for there to be a three-term analogy necessary for there to be a transmission of learning. In other words, Diotima is the greater to Socrates, who's the student, But then Socrates becomes the greater to us, the student. So now Socrates becomes the same as Diotima. He functions like Diotima. He brings us, the other extreme term, into a whole. So we've seen that necessary for analogy to exist and truth to exist as an idea, as a principle, we're using all of these greater terms of these pairs, whole, same, likeness, and so on, but we're using them all together. It's the same thing. When we say Socrates is being like Diotima, we mean he is the same as her. We mean he bringing everything into a whole. We mean that he is at rest, he's completed his journey. All of these principles together as a whole, same, like, etc., as one single idea, but defined differently to all of their individual applications of them. Whole is normally defined by you've got a whole puzzle set when you're not missing any of the parts. Part is usually defined by it's a part within a greater whole. They are defined by each other. In this analogy, when it's whole, there is nothing unlike. When we say it's a whole, we don't mean it's got all of its parts, because we could continue to pass it on. We could have Tim here, and then Jenny. So we can't say this is a whole defined by not missing any parts. When we become like Diotima, who in this is unlike? Nobody. So we're using these terms differently and all together to get a ultimate term. So we can even apply the ultimate, the idea that we've been bringing to birth of ultimate to each of these three categories, the three categories of building blocks of understanding and perception and reality. Because, hey, while you bring things together into a oneness, that's the greater. The greatest experience is to experience a oneness of everything, or the greatest whole of the greatest parts. If we talk about the ultimate oneness, we've said it's a whole, but transcending any parts. It can apply to all parts, sure, but it's not dependent on parts. And at the same time, everything is the same because there are no parts. And because there are no parts, there are no difference. And because there is no parts and no difference, there's nothing unlike. So it's pure likeness. And because there is no parts going through stages of difference, it can't be in motion. It's at rest, but not at rest in that it's come to rest from motion. It transcends motion. It can't ever not be at rest. Yeah. It's infinite and free, therefore, but not infinite as like counting a set of limits, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a set of limits that's infinite, or space is limitless. Well, every point in space is a limit, but it goes on infinitely. It's not like anything else you've ever experienced as infinite. Even the greatest experience we are defining as, or the penultimate, the greatest, so great, we're using the word great, the penultimate, or second last, is infinite, but limited. A oneness, there's nothing outside it. Because it's all of the parts as a whole. It's out of time, but in a new way. So if there's nothing in no parts that can have differences and go through unlikeness in motion and experience being a limit in that process because it's in time, then it's out of time in a unique way where it can never be in time. So all of these negatives are connected. See? can't be apart, so there can't be difference. When it can't go through motion and be unlike itself and experience a limit different from other things and therefore exist in time. They're all connected in the same sentence to say how it cannot apply. Equally so, as we talked about what was the necessary third term in the triad set of understanding Lego pieces of thought, we said as a whole, because we become the same as Diotima, we can function like her, we've reached our end of the journey, we're at rest, we're free, and we can exist eternally as a friend of the gods as any man can be, all as one idea. We're free because we're out of time and because we're at rest, and we are completely like that which is the same and the whole that transcends parts. We can have fun building a sentence to link all words together here, just as we linked all words together here to talk about a new word that has all of them together to define this new word and is defined specifically in contrast against any other use of this word in experience or thought, because it transcends all of the pairs that have normally been used to define the greater. So we can have a single sentence of that defined by defining itself as a unique kind of whole or sameness, but distinguished from this sentence that brings everything of the negatives or the lesser together. The word that we are using to bring all of the greater terms of the pairs defined in a unique, special way that can only have one application is ultimate. So you could say, image or copy, model, principle. You could say false, truth, true, the principle of true. Or copy, model, and the principle that allows for copy and model to exist. In other words, you could use different terms, but all of them you would have a lesser term, false, copy, you'd have a greater term, truth, model, and you'd have an ultimate term, the principle of true, the principle of creation. In other words, we are seeing that the self terms or the self logos elements of thought are all transcendent in that they apply to the physical world as adjectives. You can fill in the blanks. Is it a copy, model, principle? Is it a false, truth, true? So in other words, all of these words are out of time but can apply in time. That's understanding. You can experience them all at once as a oneness by unifying these pairs, experience all three out of time, which means you're experiencing all of time as a oneness. But what we're saying is, hang on a second, for there to be a oneness, there has to be a one. So you could even say, here's another application of this. The terms within the set is the lesser. The name or the monad above, or the name for this set, oneness, is the greater, because all of these function to bring about a oneness, and it's that oneness we seek with that part of our soul that seeks understanding. But hang on a second, for there to be the greater, the name, the leader of the set, for there to be lesser, the followers, the terms, the members of the set, there has to be an ultimate principle that contains all of that together more fundamentally and innately and profoundly without even needing to unfold. Oneness, one. So the ultimate term for this set would be one. The greater would be its name, oneness, and the lesser would be the members, this. You can equally do it here. The lesser, or the members of the set of what we seek for ourselves, everything what motivates us in our actions is we seek a goodness. We want justice in our relationships. We want justice in how we relate to ourselves. We want justice in how we relate to the world. We want to live in a just world, don't we? Can we also substitute the word justice for beauty in all of those sentences? Goodness, benefit, excellence. Do we want excellence in the world? Do we want excellence in our relationships? Do we want excellence in how we treat ourselves? So the lesser would be the members or the terms. The greater would be, hang on a second, are all of these examples of goodness? All of these are goodnesses. That's why we seek them. And why they bring about a benefit. And why we can say it's excellence and just. Therefore, the greater is the name or the leader of the set. The ultimate is the principle or precondition for there to be these terms. So you could even say effects, cause, and precondition. Lesser, greater, ultimate. There's another use of that triad. We're saying members, leader, principle. Effects, cause, precondition. So for there to be the greater term goodness, that implies the principle, precondition, good. There has to be some sort of idea that transcends parts, that doesn't unfold into difference, that can never be in motion or be limited or be in time. That's just a pure, clear, qualityless principle of good. Just as a one can't have parts, can't have difference, can't be unlike. A pure, clear, qualityless one. Equally so, we have the lesser terms within this set. Lesser, greater, ultimate. The greater is, hey, this is how we can define truth, or the greater expression of these monads from the lesser, injustice, or false from truth, or appearances from reality. But hang on a second, for us to have appearances that manipulate us, trick us into seeking badness, again, all human problems are just a imitation of truth that we have been conned into thinking is real. We all seek goodness. Only the issue is, what's our model? Racist parents, you'll have a racist model of goodness. You'll be attracted to a racist boy or girlfriend. Greater, take some work to purify the lesser and read the books that we're reading here so we can develop this model. So for there to be these terms, they are the lesser or the members of the set of truth. So we can distinguish truth from falseness, distortion from the thing, copy from model, imitation from reality. But for us to be able to distinguish imitation from reality, copy to model, etc., you need a principle of that unforms the unfolding into the greater and lesser, copy and model, but with itself, without qualities, without parts, without difference, without being in motion or time. A pure, clear, qualityless true. There is something that has to be, that doesn't exist like anything else that exists. That's pure and clear, but also the principle of one, because it's without qualities, the principle of good, because it's our ultimate benefit, and it's what we seek, and the principle of true. It is what is ultimately true, such that things that reflect it are truth, things that distort it are false. So a pure, clear, qualityless, whole, same, like, unlimited, justice, goodness, perfection, reality, excellence, that is pure, clear, true, one, good, true. That, all of those things, the one, the good, the true, the ultimate qualityless, pure, clear principle, that is the definition for this part in this set, ultimate. That's the key word we needed to bring to birth. The ultimate. Just as we can apply the lesser to the terms, the greater to their titles or leaders, oneness, goodness, truther. Ultimate applies to what is the cause of all of it. One thing because it's one. It's the good thing because it's good, and it's true because it's true. It's the principle of truther. Ultimate. Therefore, what we are seeking in this new way of being is the ultimate way of being. Therefore, we can understand why Socrates says it will doom all others, because all others will not reach its level. So here we can take these duads and make a Venn diagram. If this is whole, and then this and it overlaps with parts, there has to be a lesser where the part doesn't touch the whole. There has to be a greater where they overlap. And there has to be an ultimate where it's a whole, but a unique kind of whole because it's differentiated from this overlap. It's a kind of whole with no parts. And because ultimate takes all of those greater terms and does the same thing, it's the same that is different from all other samenesses, makes it unique because it's not the same that overlaps with all the differences. The model of humanity, because we need to see all of us as the same, but we also have to account for all differences. The same, the whole, the likeness, the out of time, the at rest, the infinite, I think that's all of them. The one that's not many. The self that's not others. The one true, good, pure, clear self. We're giving this the word ultimate. The ultimate goal, the ultimate self. And as we've been seeing, ignorance is using your activity to reflect on the model we call belief from the lesser world of appearances. Remember, appearance to reality, lesser to greater? That's called belief. That's the cause of ignorance because it's in opposition to the greater. The greater model is knowing with a capital K, or nous. Our greater activity is what we're doing here, to use our understanding, not to be motivated or distracted by shapes and colors, like con artists and grifters who lie. Remember, lie is the lesser to truth. Hey, race a brown person, or black people do crimes. Don't ever address the principles. That's our society. Fuckheads lying to us to distract us by appearances, to distract us from using our mind understanding to reflect on the model of mind. That's what we've got on the board here. Notice all of these are universal. So any politician or religious person or religious authority that's grifting you always does the same thing. They try and distract you by appealing to appearances, shapes and colors, or the beliefs that you got from childhood, the fake model of reality, to say, fuck universal principles. I am the one in charge. I get all the money. I am the big dog. I am the tyrant. There's every politician and every religious authority ever, in principle. Why? Because understanding does not does not attack the whole, the sameness, and the like. It's the opposite. Understanding has the whole model that brings all of these principles into a sameness that can affect providentially, beneficially all of the parts. So here's a hack. If you ever want to see what's a model for goodness, use the word universal. Because truth has to apply universally. Principles have to apply universally. And the things we hate, contradiction, hypocrisy, one rule for you, a different rule for the rich, we fucking hate that. It makes our stomach turn, and it causes all of the injustice, slavery, abuse, torture, and bloodshed, because it rejects truth. It rejects understanding. It rejects the idea of universal. That's it. It's against the universal. So if you want to say, what's your policy on healthcare? Oh, easy, universal healthcare. What's your policy on income? Easy, universal income. What's your policy on anything? Wealth equality, universal wealth equality. And what is the nature of injustice and sadistic functioning? Oh, screw universal. I want more money. Screw universal healthcare. They need to suffer and die from an illness we could easily solve. Wealth inequality. I want all the money so I can manipulate people because they have a fear of homelessness or starvation. That's sickness. That's sickness. That's the human condition. Belief-based functioning. Why? Because it's always based on clan identity. We are the Joneses. We are the racists. We are the Republicans. We are the Broncos supporters. We are the sexist. We hate the elites, or we hate the this, or whatever. Fuck you. Our job is to put an end to all clan-based beliefs, because you are defining your identity based on your clan, and you're defining the clan in opposition to other clans. That's caveman thinking. It might have had an evolutionary purpose early in our evolution, but now we can say,
you moron, you absolute fucking buffoon, you goddamn idiot.
Goddamn idiot, you're an absolute fucking buffoon. You're a bitch. If you are loyal to belief, which is in opposition to universal benefit, it's time to fucking grow up as a species. Literally, it's the point of evolution where we either evolve from the false model belief, the false activity, rejecting universals, to what we absolutely need necessarily to solve human problems and reach excellence, understanding. So yeah, what's your principle on wealth inequality? I'm against it. Oh, you're a fuckhead. Or you're in ignorance. You have to do some work on why are you loyal to hurting people? Who convinced you hurting people is a goodness? Because goodness, by definition, has to be universally beneficial, has to apply an excellence that applies to the whole. Everyone can be the same. Everyone can be like that. It's free for everyone. Who taught you of a lesser or a distorted version of these monads, these goodnesses, that only is a part and is in conflict with the whole? That's the cognitive function of belief. Who are you believing? Who are you imitating? Because you need to grow up, learn to use these terms, which you're using all the time. You're just using them in a lesser way to create badness and injustice by having the part that attacks the whole, because you think that's what it means to be knowing. Bullshit. That's what a believer takes to be knowing, because they can't have knowledge. Knowledge is the apprehension of the whole that includes all parts. A doctor has to have the whole of the human body, but he can't have a picture of the whole of the human body if he's missing a limb. It has to include the parts. So true wisdom is to have the knowledge of the whole and an understanding of the parts together, so that you can use your apprehension or mastery of wisdom which you have as a whole, you see through it like you see through your language, to address providentially, intelligently, and caringly all the parts. That's what it means to have an art. That's what mastery is, and that's what we're here for, to gain mastery of the model of mind, which is on the board, and use it, integrate it, make it our own, see through it, so we can model an activity, act always through it. That's the mastery of the dialectic and the self-logos, or understanding. You can't do it unless you're at the same time addressing the false model, belief, and its activity to reject the universals. Therefore, any just society has to say, okay, here are things we do in society. We need healthcare, we need housing, we need food, we need clean air. Let's ask the question, what kind of clean air? Should we have a group of human beings in our society that have to breathe poisoned air? Or should we have universal clean air? Obviously, we know the hack. It's always universal. So universal clean air. Should we poison the water of the poor people and have bottled water for the rich? Or should we have universal clean water? But you can think, what's the implications? Well, we don't have to make plastic bottles for everyone, so we don't have to have microplastics in our food anymore and kill all our sea life through plastics in the ocean. Oh, it's a win-win-win-win-win.
It's a win-win-win-win-win.
But as we say, what kind of income, what kind of healthcare, what kind of housing? Universal, you mean you can't have the most sociopathic, sadistic people in the world hoarding it so they can use that to have power over others to hurt them the exact same way their parents hurt them growing up? You mean that's a bad idea? No fucking shit, it's a bad idea. So as we surface the truth, we have a counterattack. As we've been reading, we've had thoughts individually that come up that say we need to give up on this book, do something else. Or I'm not good enough. I can't be a sage. I can't be this ultimate way of being. I'm a small bean. I'm a bad noodle. What we have done is looked at the origins of that bullshit. Punishment, sin, hell, Abrahamic religious tradition, to say it's fucking horseshit. It's
like literally suck my dick, dude.
Come on, dude. Literally, because you're not a small bean. You're not a bad noodle. You are God. That's the new way of being. The ultimate term that is the cause for the model, what most people consider God, eternity that has parts that can function to create. What's even beyond that God, or the penultimate God, or penultimate state of being, is the ultimate state of being, the self. So any bullshit that derides yourself, says you're not good enough, is not true by definition. But it will come up. So these are universal principles. A universal way of being that universally benefits. The universal self, the ultimate self. The one self, the good self, the true self. The substantive and everything else in experience has been an experience of the self as adjectives. Even the brilliant light of being, or the penultimate spiritual experience, is experiencing yourself as mind. It's a reflection of self. It's the adjective of self. That's the principle. Metaphysics is this. Looking, saying, hey, everything we've used in the lesser world of becoming, the physical world, in perception, experience, and understanding, has these universal principles that apply. What we are doing is understanding them not as a whole stuffy, the parts of a stuffy, how this stuffy is the same as this stuffy, same and different, not as adjectives that we experience in physical perception, but as a substantive, as a noun, not an adjective. Equally so, the ultimate goal of the self is the substantive that universally applies as they universally apply. So anything else in experience is the adjective of the self. You are experiencing self-justice, self as an adjective when you experience the whole of parts. self-beauty, self-goodness. You are experiencing either in ignorance, the lesser adjective of self, false beliefs about self, false image of self, false image of self-excellence, false image of self-justice. You're experiencing lesser, greater. What's the greater? The truth about justice, the truth about self, the truth about mind, the truth about reality. When you turn about from your physical experiences to the model of understanding, that's wisdom. To have both the direct experience and the understanding, that's wisdom. But it's still self as an adjective, the adjective applied to the greater or truth, just as our problems in the physical world, in our daydreams, in our fantasies, in our tangents, in our problems, in our night dreams. The problems that we face is experiencing self as an adjective applied to the lesser. But all of this is training. It's preconditions. It's doing the, training is a good word. Training to prepare you to say, hey, everything from my terriblest problems, my darkest, most miserable states of mind, to my highest insights, my most brilliant, all-encompassing luminosity, excellent states of mind. All of that is experiencing self as an adjective. I want it as a substantive. I want the noun. What is self? I want to know my true self, my ultimate self, my one self, my good self, my authentic, pure, clear self. That's the question, because that's the ultimate state of being. If everything in experience and in humankind up until now has been a conflict between wisdom, Socrates, and ignorance, belief, if that's the war, if all human conflicts and problems is nothing other than the false model and activity, belief, ignorance, the lesser, at war with the true model and activity, wisdom, because this served an evolutionary caveman purpose before we had language and self-reflection, but now we're fiercely loyal to it like fucking Nazi dogs in the negative sense, to be blindly loyal without judging who you're loyal to. Then, once we realize that, we can say, well, let's not play it out. Let's not do another genocide. But to end the game, you have to realize that all you have to do is anything that you're asking, use the word universal. Universal clean air, universal clean water, universal housing, universal healthcare, universal income. It's just that easy. But you will surface every single version of human clay cave-like clan identity. Because every single clan, tribe, belief that can exist in humanity will be in opposition to universal. That's what it means to be the lesser, in opposition to the greater. Otherwise, the lesser would just move into the greater. In other words, it's a human principle. Human ignorance, savagery, and zombie-like barbarianism is simply a principle that has to exist for evolving cognitive species that is a fake or lesser model that has to be in opposition to its own benefit, your own greatness, your own excellence. Otherwise, there would be no force keeping the lesser down here. Why would the lesser not be greater? This part of the Venn diagram would just move up to the top. So there wouldn't be a whole and part, a lesser and greater. It would just be two circles that overlap. There has to be some force that keeps the low low. That's human opposition to intelligence and care. That's the right wing. That's religion. That's every human being's loyalty to their family, clan beliefs, and self-identity. So it's not a blame game. Yes, if you're a believer, if you're a right-winger, if you're a etc. religious person, you will kill thinkers. You will want destruction of the world because it brings Jesus back. You want to hurt your children because it teaches them that to be God-fearing, even though expression God-fearing is weird and messed up. Think about it. God-fearing is good. What the fuck? Fear? So, ignorance is a belief-based cognition and an activity that follows from it in opposition to its own good, but in opposition to the whole. Whereas wisdom is simply the ultimate version of parts, or the whole of the parts. Which means, as we've been reading, developing our understanding, and reflecting on the model of thought itself, we have been surfacing our own false beliefs in opposition to our own benefit and in opposition to universal principles. So too, as we put an end to the savage barbarian stage of humanity and say, well, what's your policy on anything? Oh, easy, just one word. Really? Yeah, one word. How can it be one word? Oh, because it's universally applicable? You have a universally applicable word? That sounds like a cheat code. Oh yeah, it is. But it's also true. The truth. What's this universally applicable cheat code? Oh, it's the word universal. What's your policy on healthcare? Universal. What's your policy on childcare? Universal. What's your policy on clean air? Universal. What's the policy on freedom? Should only the billionaires and trillionaires get to be free, or should everyone be? Oh yeah, universal. But our job, our purpose as a human species is to surface all possible clan beliefs. You can't just solve problems. You have to also, at the same time, not just provide the excellence, address the cause of the problem to begin with. That's our purpose. It's what we're here for. We're not here to blow up the world to increase shareholder profit for the next fucking quarter. That's stupid. That will end all life on this planet and make our species go extinct. The purpose for humanity is to surface all possible cave or clan beliefs that will come up, that will be in opposition to the universal. That's the significance of our current age of injustice. The fascists, the capitalists, the racists, the genociders, the trillionaires that make life literally unaffordable to live for anyone who's not a fucking trillionaire. They are bringing to light all of the personal clan beliefs. Clan is a good word. Spell it with a K. That are in opposition to universal goodness. Our job as a species, according to what Socrates has been saying in the book, is to address all of them. If we do, we can end the war against, what's the war against? Justice, beauty, goodness, benefit, or in one word, mind. So while the physical world is the lesser of becoming, the world of being, where you can directly apprehend these principles as a oneness, as a goodness, as the truth of reality, that's mind, which is still self as an adjective. It's self-mind. So, it's a war against mind. That's the human condition. War against mind. Or the movement from ignorance to wisdom, from belief to understanding. Now, that's the conflict. Just as all human beings have a conflict based on their false image of self, that's why we do philosophical midwifery, and that's one of the reasons why we read this book, because in developing understanding and wisdom, You will surface all of your blocks, and you need to surface it so you've got the material to do philosophical midwifery on that material to remove your conflict, to remove your problems. So, great, we've understood it. You could even personify it. The Hellenic tradition, mind and understanding, against the Judaic tradition, belief and ignorance. The cause of suffering, harm, injustice, genocide, cruelty, sexism, racism, all of the bad shit. Belief at its cause, in principle. Universally so. Any species, any time, any planet. You can personify them with characters, Socrates and Jesus. And what the book is saying, hey, if you're personifying wisdom with Socrates and ignorance with justice, or the Hellenics and the Jews, the conflict of Jesus' life in the Gospel of Mark, by the way, his conflict between his Hellenic desire for understanding and after his brilliant light experience, his retreat to belief. If that's the nature of all human conflict, you can personify it with Jesus and Socrates. What happens after you've seen it? In other words, learning means once you've established a pattern, every time I turn on my toaster, my electricity goes out in my flat. Apartment. Hang on a second. Once I've understood there's a pattern, and I've understood it's because my toaster has a short in its wiring that's shorting out my house fuse or whatever, then I don't have to keep repeating the drama of having to not have toast and having to reset my my fuse in my house every single morning when I want toast. Once you've noticed what's happening, the parts and how they function as a whole, or the cause, you are free. You can simply address the cause, fix your toaster, and you've freed yourself from that drama. That's a universal principle. All of your fantasies, tangents, dramas in your everyday life, your daydreams or your night dreams, are an expression of a problem or a conflict that you're repeating. That's the kind of problem we're looking at. A repeating problem, not a one-off. Like I had a spill, a terrible spill, and I thought,
Vapid cunt.
I can't say that.
Like literally suck my dick, dude.
Is what I said to my coffee when I spilled it everywhere.
All checks out.
Please end kink shaming on your show.
That's not the kind of problem. It's a repeating cycle of problems. It's a repeating cycle of a problem. That's the cause of our issues. If I notice that every time I get to a good part of the text I spill, then it'd be different. So in other words, once you've understood the nature of the conflict and the cause of the conflict, you can become free of it. You're free now. Or unlimited now. You're no longer in that motion now. You're at rest now. You no longer have to take your high state of mind, what's it feel like, and be unlike that. You can just be like yourself, the same. Have the positives, have the greatest. Equally so, if we can understand the nature of all human problems, ignorance or model and copy based on belief in opposition to wisdom, or model and copy based on mind or greater to lesser, and the cause is our human, well, as a principle, there has to be some force for the lesser or the part in opposition to the whole. Otherwise, there wouldn't be reality. There would be no wholes and parts. It would just be one. Now, that's our ultimate goal, of course. But for there to be creation, there has to be whole and parts in principle. And for there to be whole and parts in principle, there has to be this section of part that's not whole. So if this is a universal model of everything, it also has to apply to cognitive functions and human development for us to learn these principles, meaning there has to be a cognitive stage of personal development in opposition to goodness and the whole. That's belief. We are the chosen people. We're going to kill everyone else. Belief. Politics, religion, family, belief. And if we understand the cause of the issues being our purpose to surface all of those clan beliefs, that's the job of the human being and the human race, then we don't have to keep repeating the genocides, the slavery, the sexism, the racism, the subjugation, the poisoning of the air for profits, the poisoning of the water for profits, the burning to death of children in Palestine for profits. We don't have to keep doing injustice if we recognize the pattern, belief against understanding, ignorance against wisdom, and the cause, family clan loyalty, family clan beliefs, and the purpose, one more step, our human purpose to address all of those family clan beliefs, then we're not stuck in the problem anymore. We're free. We can free ourselves from human conflict and suffering in principle. By definition, not as an opinion or a belief or a wacky theory. No, that's just understanding. This is universal. This applies to any species who's gone through this kind of human development, this intellectual or evolution into cognition and self-reflection. It's universally applied, meaning it's a kind of learning you can take with you wherever you go, meaning it's the kind of learning that you have to be here to do. Can't take your physical appearances with you. Take this, because it's universal and it's non-physical. So once you're free of your problems, you're free to do stuff. You don't have to spend all morning messing around with your fuse box and trying to put butter on cold bread and breaking the bread and getting mad at the bread. You're free to spend that hour doing something else. And that's what we're up to. That's what we're up to at the text. So far, the text has brought us to understand all of that. This text is a goddamn motherfucking banger. Dear God.
Okay, go ahead, man.
I don't know if you know this, but like weird dude exists everywhere.
Making ice cream's a good and courageous thing.
Weird dudes do exist everywhere, but now we've understood the principle of weird dudes.
The primary purpose of pools is not to murder. It is for enjoyment and cooling off.
And the primary purpose of a human evolution. Like pools to cool off, human beings to put an end to clan beliefs through recognizing the nature of our cyclical problem and its cause.
Dead-eyed, and I don't use this kind of terminology lightly, dimwits.
Put an end to dimwits.
Bitch. Would you just blow in from Stupid Town?
To put an end to all of the people blowing in from Stupid Town, to see the cause of where they're blowing in from. Family clan beliefs. That's what the text has brought us to. We can make all these conclusions because this text is such a goddamn banger. And it's a banger because it reflects the universal principles of truth and understanding. The Logos. We can put this and say this is Logos. That's the name for it. Don't be scared. Because it's a weird word. Oh, Logos, it's weird. Hey, do you use the word croissant? That's not English. Now use the word Logos. You need a word to bring it into a oneness. If you don't bring it into a oneness, you can't have understanding. If you can't have understanding, you can't use it. If you can't use it, you'll be ignorant and stuck. So that's been the text up to date. And we're like 90 episodes in, we can understand and free ourselves from human conflict. Now what? That's the question. Now what? Now what do you do at that hour in the morning you're not wasting over a broken toaster? Well, if this is wisdom, the model and activity here in mind, the truth of self as an adjective, if this is ignorance, the false model based on imitation of physical appearances or belief, and the activity in opposition to goodness and the whole, the pathologos image of self, so self as a lesser or false adjective, free from that conflict or war against wisdom, war against benefit, war, in one word, war, one sentence, human beings as a expression of war against mind, free from that by understanding it, what are we free to do now? Well, we're missing a section on this Venn diagram. This way of being, the model of not self as an adjective in its truth or an adjective in its false, the cause of our ignorance and suffering, but as a substantive. What is the self? That's either experienced in the greater or in the lesser, in happiness or in sadness, in enlightenment or in ignorance, in sages or savages. What is not as its experience in any other way, but a unique thing. All experience is a whole of parts, is a motion into a rest. It's an expression of these as pairs. We are saying, therefore, this part of the Venn diagram that's not overlapping with this part, the ultimate, the substantive. What the heck is the self that is the cause of all others, that's reflected into all others, but is itself one? That's the cause of all manyness, that's reflected into manyness, but is itself not a manyness, but a oneness, or one. Not even a oneness, because oneness is wisdom. Not harm or goodness, but the good. Not false or true, but the true. Not the disconnection or unified, but the one. One word that also implies goodness, implies truth, and even implies all of those greater terms, but defined in a unique way. Freed from human problems, human beings are now free to reflect on themselves not as what we formerly have been doing, human beings in conflict with mind as part of an early stage of evolution, ignorance against goodness, ignorance against wisdom. Now we can reflect on ourselves as not even the whole of all parts, or the brilliant light of being, or the creator God. No, the ultimate God. Human beings are now free to reflect on themselves as God, or now, because God is a loaded term, we have a highest definition. Not God with qualities that does stuff and even has feelings and takes part in history. No, none of that shit. Even for God to have qualities, there has to be a cause of qualities, a oneness of parts. Mankind's next age and way of being that makes even the wise or Socrates and even the believers or Jesuses followers of this way of being, mankind reflecting on himself as the ultimate. Who can participate in the world of man providentially to purify our false beliefs, to help even the wise perfect their understanding and knowledge, their wisdom, preparing everyone and inviting everyone into this same way of being, the ultimate way of being, self-reflecting on himself as God. Not as a belief, that's for babies. Savage barbarian babies, evil babies. No, don't use the word evil because we've gone through that. The ultimate, the one, the true, the good, the self. Pure, clear, ultimate, the ultimate. Being able to providentially, so the activity of that reflecting on the model, the result is, hey, as you reflect on yourself as the ultimate God, if you like, you are perfecting your activity, and of course that activity would be able to engage in this state, all of these series of reflections that we've gone through, we've been practicing for the last few episodes to nail it down, to make it our own, so we can see through it. And again, counterattack Like we repeat ourselves a bit here on this channel so we can nail it down. But because we're counteracting all of the repetitions of all of the ignorance, everything else, all of the clan beliefs from society. How often is Trump on the news or on the internet? How often are lying politicians and capitalists lying to us at school and on media and stuff? So it's worth repeating it to counteract that and to nail it down in our seeing so we can see through it. So as we use our thinking, well, as the whole of ourselves, our thinking, our seeking, and our desiring to reflect on ourselves as the ultimate God, we are perfecting our activity, which can function in the lower realms to follow the stages of reflection we've gone through in a supportive, never punishment, never blame, never shame, never abuse, kind of friendly, caring self-reflection that we encourage others to go through so they can bring to light the nature and causes of their own repeating toaster problem in their whole lives to free themselves from having to live out once again, another fantasy, another daydream, another night dream, another relationship problem, another block to my play, another block to my work, another block to my reading. You don't have to play that over and over again. If you understand the nature and its cause, that's the activity of self through understanding that helps people remove their problems. But also, hey, there are stages of understanding people go through. There are stages of experiencing of the brilliant light of being people go through. So you could also, again, as that's a lower or the greater to the ultimate, which is itself a lesser to greater, you can also benefit people in their development of wisdom, purification of ignorance, perfection of wisdom, lesser and greater, because you are functioning from the ultimate way of being. So in that way we can see why of course it dooms all others, because all others seek the ultimate. They seek the ultimate true good. By definition, by being alive with agency, you bring things together into one. Even when you're in your development process, to reach out for the stuffy, we're participating in one, because we have to identify this as one stuffy so I can grab it. Even before we move to the ultimate good, we're participating in good, because everything we reach out for, we do so because we think it's good. We're doing it. We're just learning how to do it properly or well and have fun.
Where's the joy? Where's the whimsy? Where's the childlike one?
I think it's so awesome.
And it's so awesome. And as we reach for the thing, we want to make sure we're not being scammed and we're getting the actual stuffy, not a virtual AI grok stuffy, Mecha Hitler stuffy. There's an AI thing that because it's under capitalism and ignorance, it's just AI is reflecting the racist beliefs of their creators. So Elon Musk, a notorious Nazi, bragged about creating Mecha Hitler, what he called his AI service. Pretty obviously a problem.
No one seems to be learning or growing or addressing actual problems.
Well, now we are. And it's great.
You moron. You absolute
moron.
fucking buffoon. You goddamn
He is.
idiot.
Goddamn.
You know, some people would chase a chimp around. Some people would devote themselves to all kind of science or art or experimentation. Who knows?
And this is the ultimate kind of art. So, at every moment, we are participating in one true and good. All we're doing is learning how to perfect that and purify any scams, false, untruth. Because if we've been scammed by false appearances or belief, negative belief about self, I'm a small bean, I'm a bad noodle, any negative belief about reality, it's cruel, it's unjust, it doesn't care about me, it's a dog-eat-dog world, it's just about manipulating other people to make profits. Anything untrue is going to be not good or bad, and going to make us divided and in conflict or not one. But we all have those three forces of the soul that together define the functioning of the self to return to the self. We seek the one, we seek the true, we seek the good. Through reason, through outward functioning, to have for ourselves inwardly. And the ultimate expression of all that, so the expression all roads lead to Athens, or all roads lead to self. Because the principle for its expression as a manyness or three different forces is a one principle, is a true principle, and that's the good. That's the ultimate. It can function beneficially to the wise and the ignorant, and it dooms all others because they are both benefited in that they too join that ultimate state of self, and therefore a new age of mankind. We have to do it all. In other words, as we bring to light ultimate principles for governance, ultimate principles for spirituality, universal healthcare, universal income, universal understanding of the mind and spirituality, universal understanding of problems, not just, well, I'm a Buddhist, so I think that. Well, I'm a Taoist, well, I'm different. You're the same people. It's the same self, you idiot. Come on.
Would you just blow in from Stupid Town?
Why are you blowing from Stupid Town? We're looking for universals. We have to assert universals, just like every other profession. There's a universal understanding of how to fly a plane. You can't say, well, it's my belief that Jesus will take the wheel. No, you'll crash the plane, everyone will die. Politics and religion. Well, it's my belief we should hurt certain people. Fuck you. You can't be a pilot. You can't be a politician or a clergy. That's the fucking worst. Dum-dum.
Oh my fuck.
Oh my fuck.
You just blow in from Stupid Town?
You're blowing from Stupid Town?
Gooners.
Are you gooner? As we establish the word universal as the cheat code adjective, we will surface everything in opposition. That's our job, to surface all clan beliefs which are defined as the cause of problems and in opposition to understand universal principles. So that's our job, but that's easy. Get AI to help that. AI, put the word universal in front of every policy. Done. Oh, AI, make sure you have a forum without punishment or blame for everyone who is in opposition to universal principles and universal goodness. Because we also have to address that. The people who come out and say, I don't want children to have food. I don't want the elderly to have healthcare. I don't want to stop shooting Palestinian children in the face. I think, well, hang on, should you be shot in the face? No, not me. One rule for thee, one rule for me. Yes. What makes you special? Oh, my family tribe? What do you mean? God says I'm special. I'm a special boy. I was born a billionaire. I was born royalty. I was born a Jew. I was born a Muslim. I was born a Protestant. I'm the chosen one. So, AI. Create an algorithm, create a space for everybody to voice their concerns or their opposition against understanding. Create an algorithm for their self-reflection and also to take note of all of those family clan beliefs so we can come together as a species and address all that in opposition to our benefit. So we can heal our race. Also design a series of questions, dialectic, that the people can themselves go through. Here's a handy start. What about for you? Let's say, hypothetically, you were the same. Or, let's say you were poor. Would you like to be shot in the face? And if they lie and say, oh, sure, then, you know, take their money away. So, okay, you can be poor and let's see how you go. Oh, no, actually, I actually don't want to be poor. Oh, okay, so everyone should have a house? Well, not them. Okay, then you can be them. Go live on the street. Oh, no, actually, I want a house too. Oh, really? Okay, that's easy, but a series of questions to reflect on why they've been in opposition to universal goodness and benefit, which includes their own goodness and benefit, and is in opposition with human species itself. Oh, you're a human being? Yeah. And you're poisoning the water human beings need to survive? Oh, yeah. Why? Oh, because my daddy says people fucking suck and we need to exploit them for profits. That's why we have 8 yachts and they have no house to live in. So you're a species in opposition to the species. Like a cancer? Yes. Oh. Let's trace that back. Why was your dad so convincing? Well, he looked so beautiful and knowing when he beat my maid. Oh, really? And did his dad have a maid? Yes. And my granddad used to really go on racist tirades, and when he was younger, he used to beat the shit out of black people. Oh, really? Okay. And his tracing it back to its root cause. It's just that simple. And we can use AI to do it. That could be our work. As we have the technology and resources, if we applied them universally and don't hoard all the money, hoard all the technology, hoard all the resources, hoard all the intelligent people who come out of schools or whatever, if we apply it universally, we don't have to work anymore. That's the issue, right? AI is taking all the jobs. Who wants a fucking job? If jobs were inherently valuable, the rich would have bought them all. No one wants a fucking job, and you know that because the rich don't want jobs. We can free ourselves from all work, therefore the labor, human labor, becomes putting the word universal in front of everything and addressing all opposition. In other words, human labor becomes mastering the art of the dialectic. Surfacing it by establishing universal principles, universal healthcare, universal income, universal clean water, but also applying the dialectic to all of those who say, hang on a second, I don't like that. Now, rationally, you might understand that you are harming humanity. Yes, I understand that. But it still feels like some people are lazy and deserve to suffer and die, right? It does feel that way. That's fine. You're not evil, we're not punishing you, but we need to surface why you feel that way. Why are you a human being in opposition to humanity? Why are you an understander in opposition to universal understanding? Why are you a thinker or a mind in opposition to universal mind? And why are you a self against self, if we're all universally the self? That's our labor. And you know what? We get dreams. Dreams will help with that, necessarily. So that'll be our work before morning tea time, to practice the dialectic and dream analysis, and that comes in opposition to establishing universal principles, universal laws, universal goodness. But then after morning tea time, what do? That's where we are. That's the new age of being. We're now free to reflect on ourselves as the ultimate self, which will have the benefit of perfecting our labor or dialectic on purifying our ignorance. And even those who have wisdom will have to go through stages of wisdom. So perfect the experience of wisdom. But even then, you don't want to identify with self as an adjective. It's self-mind, but it's still an adjective. So you can purify your false beliefs, perfect and purify your identification with wisdom. That's our labor. But that's the consequence as a way of functioning from our after morning tea activity or our free activity to use self to reflect on self as the ultimate self or God. The one, the true, the good, the pure, the clear, the qualityless, the ultimate. The ultimate. Therefore, ultimate is our adjective. Ultimate is used in a specific way as all of these greater terms of the pairs, but defined differently from how they're normally defined in all other experience or understanding, are unique ultimate one that takes all of them together as one idea that can be understood as the ultimate in this set, the ultimate justice, ultimate goodness, the good, ultimate beauty, ultimate excellence, ultimate benefit. Or using any of the other terms that transcend these lists, one justice or good justice or the true justice, true excellence, true beauty. So ultimate is the highest use of these words all together as one that also unifies one, good and true. The principles or the ultimate of each of these sets. As the terms are the lesser, the defining name or leader of that set, oneness, goodness, truth, is the greater. The ultimate is its cause, the one, the true, and the good, which is all one idea. So ultimate brings together all of it. The ultimate logos. The ultimate logos would be its expression or activity, and the knowingness of itself would be ultimate ousia. But of course, ousia and logos we've been talking about is all the same thing anyway. Self-reflecting on the model, turning about ousia, but you know yourself, so it's also logos. Activity is usually the expression of that intelligibility, language, conversation, dialectic, thinking. But also, the highest use of that is to refer upon ourselves as well, and the use of our activity to others is to encourage their own self-reflection. So logos and ousia themselves, while generally speaking refer to the model and activity, logos, language, reason, activity, thought, model, self-reflection, ousia, they themselves become one as well, because all of our activity would be to encourage self to reflect on ultimate self. That's all of our activity, logos, and that's the model too. So we've brought all of these ideas that we have been developing in the book into one, and we use the word ultimate to refer to it. Therefore, the ultimate way of being, the new class of man, and why it would make redundant or doom all others, but also why it can put an end to all human conflict forever. Just as we put an end to dealing with that broken toaster for an hour every morning, by seeing it. It's very easily expressed with what's written on the board. The art, and therefore the art that we're here to develop to reach that, is the art of understanding, or the dialectic, which makes use of ousia, self-reflection. You use questions to encourage self-reflection, and you encourage people putting words and understanding on it. So the dialectic unifies logos and ousia, or model and activity. And we have the phi ratio to say that, hey, the lesser is A, the greater is B, the ultimate also includes A and B, but each level is different or transcendent or incommensurate. That's phi. So there is this mean analogy that we use to recognize lesser, greater, and ultimate. A is to B as B is to C. That's the mean analogy. But there is an even more purified mean analogy. A is to B as B is to A plus B, which only uses two terms. So it's the most succinct example of truth, phi ratio, but also because these are the phi ratio, or the golden ratio, or the Fibonacci sequence, each term doesn't fit into the next, incommensurate. We know that, hey, you let go of belief. That's why you need courage. You sacrifice the false because it's inconsistent. Wisdom is a kind of knowingness that has nothing to do with belief. Well, different category of things. It can do with it. It can reflect back down and understand it. But that's the incommensurability. That's the phi ratio. So too, the knowing of self is the ultimate spiritual experience, and the knowing of self-mind, self as an adjective, is the penultimate. Two different things. This is the greatest of all qualities. This transcends qualities. So we use the word pure or clear or ultimate or one. then we can say, hey, if there's an activity or model for each of those levels, for ignorance, for wisdom, and the ultimate, we can even say we can identify cognitive functions that necessarily has to exist. So we're not hating on people for being dum-dums, for being...
It's a win-win.
Wait.
Oh my fuck. Would you just blow in from Stupid Town?
We're not hating on people for blowing in from Stupid Town, but we're recognizing that, hey, if we call this 5 the activity, 4 the fake model, 3 the true activity, truth, understanding, 2 the truth of the model of reality, and then 1 we call the activity of self, and then 10 we will say is the model of self. We can say identify stages of cognitive development. Materialism, there is no whole, it's just nonsense. It's all just opinions. Everything is relative, bro. Belief, you can't know the whole, it's just clan identity. Understanding, we've been talking about today. Knowledge is the model experience all at once. The activity of the oneself, and 10, the knowing of the oneself. So, that's the model that we can nail down and remember and talk to your friends about over coffee. Cheers. And in doing so, put an end to human conflict as we put an end to dealing with that toaster every morning. Freeing ourselves from our ultimate activity, which makes redundant all others, because everyone else would become themselves followers or members within that ultimate class. That's where we are in the text. Next time, we're going to keep reading and see if we can learn more about this ultimate state of being now that we're free from human problems. Hooray for us. Hooray from our author for writing a book that has given us all of the pieces for this, while itself demonstrating this within the book. Because each of the characters, Jesus and Socrates, are personifications of ignorance and wisdom. The whole conversation has been a whole of parts and dealing with same and differences. And even the dialectic that Socrates has been leading Jesus through, he begins with, hey, talk about the whole of us, talk about the part. How are we the same, Jesus? How are we different? He's been demonstrating everything we've been defining together in the book. It's a goddamn banger. So, understanding human problems, understanding the cause of human problems, and understanding the purpose behind human problems to surface all clan-based beliefs in opposition, nail them down, and establish universal principles so we can surface that, and then free ourselves, therefore, after morning tea time, to use our self-life to reflect on ourselves as the ultimate God. The new way of being. Pretty neat. I think it's pretty neat. Nothing we've said has been an opinion. Nothing has been a belief. We have been using these very principles to understand these principles the whole time. So this isn't a debate. Well, I think differently. Well, then you're stupid. Then you are...
I don't know if you know this, but like weird dudes exist everywhere.
You're a weird dude that exists
I think
everywhere.
it's awesome.
Because we think it's
I
awesome.
don't know, whatever.
But whatever.
You just blow in from Stupid Town?
If you don't agree with this, you have blown in for Stupid Town. Because it's not a matter of debate. Debate is about clan beliefs and ignorance. This is just what understanding is. To debate it, you have to still use it. You have to say, well, I don't think it's just. I think it's a lesser idea of just. My idea of justice is a part in opposition to the whole, because Abraham was told to kill his child. I want to kill all the Palestinians, or kill all the left-wingers, or kill all the poor peoples, or kill all the non-Jews, or kill all the non-Protestants, or kill all the... You get it. You're still using these principles in conflict between them if you're in opposition to it, but that's okay. Our job is to surface that, not listen to it, just as our everyday thoughts and dreams are not literal, but they have a message, and our job is to unpack it, which is, what are the clan beliefs in opposition to universal? What's the cause of our ignorance in opposition to wisdom? And once we've recognized that, and we spend the morning doing dream analysis and philosophical midwifery and dialectic, even on our wisdom states, because dreams give you both. Dreams give you high states and low states. and a drama that tells you about both. So you can spend all the morning either at school or at your workplace or at the Parliament House or at over breakfast if you're lucky enough to have a partner with a good heart and good head. Spend morning tea time reflecting on wisdom, perfecting wisdom, and purifying your ignorance. And then after that, you can spend the rest of the day free from work because we can. And universal freedom would be nice, wouldn't it? Not just nice, but necessary. We can spend the rest of the day using ourself to reflect upon ourself as the ultimate self, or the highest idea of God. Incorporating all other ways of beings and transcending them. So in other words, dooming all others in the best possible fucking way. Hooray. Did I mention this book was a banger?
Imagine people changing their positions and improving for the better.
Imagine. We don't have to imagine. So if anybody comes along and says to us, I need to get the special sound drop for this one because this is a good one. Says to
Hey
us,
man, wouldn't some kind of future where people have all their whatever basic needs met of shelter, all this crap, and they could do whatever the hell they want, wouldn't that be good? No, it wouldn't.
when they say that, no, it wouldn't. We'll say to them,
Are you just blowing from Stupid Town?
did you just blow in from Stupid Town?
It's a total shit show.
What you just said was a total shit show, and we
I don't
all
know if
know
you know this, but like weird dudes exist every.
weird dude exists everywhere, and if you're saying that you're a weird dude, and we say to you
Would you just blow in from Stupid Town?
that you just blew in from Stupid Town. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you had fun. I hope you're having fun if you've been following along with all of the episodes, revising, remembering, nailing it down your understanding. Remember, this is the kind of learning that you can nurture into your soul, which means there will be a switch that flips. Eventually, you'll see through it, just as you saw through. There was a part where you had to wonder and puzzle about your English language, but now you just see through it, or whatever language you speak. This is the kind of learning that has that. It affects your being. So I hope you've been having fun nailing it down and making it your own, or mastering the art of dialectic, which we're all here to do, by simply using your understanding to perfect your understanding by reflecting on the model, which is allowing us to understand how to solve all problems, but also our ultimate purpose. The ultimate self, reflecting on the ultimate self. It's a win-win-win-win.
Like win.
Win-win-win-win. I'm having fun. I hope you're having fun too. Thank you for joining me. Once again, like, subscribe, YouTube, follow Twitch, join the Discord. And if you are joining the Discord, share your high experiences or your low ones. And make friends with people who are in this game and explore dreams together and all that sort of stuff. It's a win-win-win.
Win.
Win-win-win-win-win.
I'm cute. Like, it's cutie pie.
And Emma keeps telling us that she's a cutie pie.
So I don't know.
Well, we don't
Now.
know.
All right, enough.
Enough of that. Enough. And if you do want to donate to the channel, there is a link below, and I do appreciate it. And there's a PDF link below as well. Thank you for joining me. Oh my god, what a banger. And I'll see you in the next one.